Good morning, my friends, and welcome to the Daily Hope Devotion. I'm sitting in my wife Marion's creation. The birds are singing, the flowers and the plants are thriving. This is a place for us of peace and serenity and hope. And in our devotion this morning in Leviticus chapter 14, there is a verse that is a verse of hope. The context of this verse is all about uncleanness, and because of the skin diseases and leprosy in particular. But in the middle of this section, God gives us a glimmer of hope, like the light from a lighthouse along a rocky coast, that everything's going to be okay, that there is hope. So here is the verse. It's verse 2 of chapter 14. Those who have been healed must be brought to the priest, who will examine them at a place outside the camp. Now, the stunning context of this verse is really found in the prior chapter at verse 45, where it says that after the priest examines the person and pronounces them unclean, they must tear their clothing, they must leave their hair uncombed, they must cover their face and cry out, "Unclean, unclean." And then they must live in isolation in their place outside the camp. Now imagine yourself in this story for a moment. Your life is full and rich. You have meaningful work, and suddenly a sore appears on your hand, say for instance. And you make an appointment with someone who is in town and has been trained on how to diagnose these skin diseases. So you go and you are quarantined, and after 2 weeks, the news comes that you have leprosy. You cannot go home. You cannot give a final hug to the ones that you loved. You were ordered to stay in place outside the camp and away from all healthy relationships. You must cover your face and cry out, "Unclean." Now suddenly life changes. Never again will it be as it was, normal. Barring a miracle of God, you will die a hideous death, and over your life will be this banner, "Unclean." In the New Testament, the story of Jesus healing a man with leprosy in Luke 5:12 gives a stirring testimony that the kingdom of God had come near. Jesus meets a man who is diagnosed, as Luke says, with an advanced case of leprosy by Dr. Luke. And when the man sees Jesus, don't you love that he says the man sees Jesus, not the leper sees Jesus, but when this man sees Jesus, he falls on his face and cries out, "Lord, have mercy." And rather than running away, Jesus runs forward. He moves forward and stretches out his mighty hand and heals the man of his leprosy and raises him up and tells him to go now and show the priest. And this will be a testimony to your cleansing. Take along the offering and give it to the priest, and this will be a testimony to your cleansing. Jesus was not looking for notoriety. He was helping this man who was unclean by offering the way out of quarantine to restart his life on the other side of the disease. The man's obedience became the testimony. So what about you? We've been in quarantine for over a month, and for some, this time has been a time of blessing, but for others, this has been a time of excruciating pain. And as you examine your life, there may be spiritual deadness that's there. There may be pain of separation, and all alone, you're left with your fears. Perhaps you feel unclean, but there is hope. By Jesus' wounds, we have been healed. He is calling today, "Come to me, and I will give you rest." This stay-in-place order will be lifted, but what do you want your life on the other side with Jesus to look like? What do you need to let go of? What do you need to grab hold of for your life to thrive? Let me pray this blessing over you today. May the God, the one who was crucified outside the camp for our healing, give you wisdom and hope today. May your life be filled with the life of Christ as you abandon all to follow him. I hope you have a great day.